Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good day wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the next episode of No Dice, No Glory. Sponsored by our jobs that actually pay us money, we're coming to you not at all live from an abandoned arms factory deep under a mountain in West Virginia. We are proud to proffer to you the finest in wargaming coverage. Without any further ado, let's get this show on the road.
Hey, well, thank you, Sean. And this is the No Dice, No Glory crew, expanded version.
That's right.
And we're here today at Fallen in beautiful King of Prussia, and I am joined today by a newcomer to the show.
Yes.
Scott Roach. Say hi to your fans, Scotty.
Hi, fans.
Hi, fans. And, of course, with me always is Tom Chairborne Mullane.
How you doing?
So let's talk about this con. We did a lot of stuff this weekend, so let's talk about first. Yesterday, we had a Blood and Plunder tournament. We had a nice turnout, 12 guys. And, Scott's fans are, they're seeing what's going on. So we had 12 people show up. And, Scott, it was your first tournament.
Yeah, it was. So I think it was a couple of months ago you said, I'm going to run Blood and Plunder for Fall-In. Why don't you play? And I went, yeah, okay, I'll play because I like skirmish games. I'd never tried it before. And I went, okay. You gave me the figures. You put an army together for me, Scottish militia.
What do you think of them?
I like them.
They're good.
They're good. And I grabbed the rule book. I sat down an hour before the tournament started. I read the rule book, and then I got into it.
And wait,
how'd you do? Tell
that's
them
really not the whole story.
No.
How'd you do?
How'd you do, Scott?
Well, my friend Tom here next to me gave me the game. Like he literally threw the game so that I could actually.
No,
come
he
third.
didn't. He didn't.
I played a win. I played a win. That's why I moved out into the open to get shot in the face.
Well, maybe Scott's a little shy, but he finished third. And for his troubles, he got a brigantine.
Yeah,
I got a beautiful ship, a beautiful brigantine, 28 millimeter, resin, and it's just glorious. It's such a nice kit.
And we were supported by the wonderful folks at Failings Consortium, and everybody got a great discount. And Scott picked up the rest of his army. So is it going to be Scottish militia for you from here on in?
Yeah, I think I like them. They're a good ranged and they're a good melee crew. I think the quality of them is actually pretty good. I played one of the guys, Preston. He was running these French guys.
Now, how did Preston finish?
Well, he won.
Yeah,
and I think I know why. Like he basically had a fairly large groups. They were double my size. Sat back on the high ground and shot the hell out of me, and that's I think why I lost him. By the end of the game, I had two guys standing, my commander and some poor militia dude.
And as a guy that plays, now he had French Caribbean militia.
Yeah.
Shooty list.
Yeah, very.
You got shooty, but you got to get in close. So he played to his strengths, knowing what you had to do.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of some of these lists.
Yeah. So that was the learning thing for me. Like, first-time player, so new to understanding. And I played Dutch guys, I played French guys. So each army has its weaknesses and its strengths, and when you're playing for the first time and you don't really understand the mechanics, and the mechanics are excellent because when you fire you have to reload, and it was those opportunity times that I should have got in close and done the melee because my melee was stronger than what what Preston's army was. So learning your army, it's pretty key to this game, but the mechanics is what makes it balance out. Even though he had a really good shooty army, the mechanics of him having to reload, he can't just shoot this turn and shoot next turn and shoot next turn.
So as much as you said, I'm going to get this one box and play Scottish militia, you will go to the force builder, and you're like, well, I need to add these guys, I need to add these guys. So we'll see what you play with next.
Yeah.
And then we have Tom, who did you have a non-loss yesterday?
I did not. I would point out that in the in the 9 or 10 games of Blood and Plunder that I've played, I have yet to win a game.
But does that mean that you're having a bad time?
No, I can't think of any other game that I've ever played where I've lost this badly this often and still came out of it thinking to myself, you know what, I'm really having a good time.
And folks can listen to the Historicon podcast, so we won't beat this to death, but he didn't know how to count his forces. He wasn't using the force building.
I don't do math.
And he actually was playing with a 200-point list in a 100-point tournament.
Yeah.
And he still lost his first 2 games.
No, I lost all 3. I lost all 3 games with that list.
Yeah.
No, I changed the list in the 3rd round.
And you lost by even more.
And I lost by even more, yeah.
What were you running? You're running Dutch.
I was running Dutch. The big point sink is the commander. Because I think, like, when you play this game at the 100-point level, you really have to take one of the generic commanders. You can't afford to spend more than 20 points on a guy, and I kind of figured that out. So in that ballooned crazy list, I had taken Pete Hine, the legendary, dude who looks like he's really having a great time with his sculpt, and he's like 40 points for the model.
Yeah, but isn't he a naval guy? Like if you pick a commander and you see broadsides and it's a land battle, you're picking the wrong guy.
I thought it would come up later.
Broadsides.
I didn't have any guns to fire, but you never know.
Broadsides
maybe
only works in ships.
Guns. Yeah.
So it only works in ships.
I was excited because you get four fortune coins instead of 3, and also because his command range was like 24 inches or something insane.
Yeah, on a 3x3, that's quite a bit.
It's like 4 command points, and so I was letting use him to move people all over the table, and I love the command aspect of the game, where you get all these extra moves, and it adds a lot of nuance and complexity to the way they run things.
So let me give a little history of our crew here. You didn't know Scott has an Australian accent. He's Canadian, so he's part of our Canadian crew because Matt Varnish has been on the show many times. Actually, we can't kick him off. So, but one thing about Scott is he's a long-time grognard. And what about this game? I know you mentioned just now some of the plaudits, but what attracted to you most of all? I know you're into this period.
Well, I like all sorts of war games, and I've played the big battles, and where you've got regiments upon regiments upon regiments lined up in brigades and divisions, and so Matt Varnish and I we do a lot of Black Powder and Black Powder 2 with Napoleonics. I'm starting to like the skirmish game, especially when you're playing 28mm. I like the skirmish aspects, the small force game type.
All right.
But Blood and Plunder is a little bit different, and I think it's the mechanics that makes this game. The whole card activation and bidding against the other guy to get the initiative, and being limited by the actions, and having to think about the resources of, if I fire now and I get charged, I'm unloaded and I'm going to get beat up. So, like before the tournament started yesterday, I hadn't really read the rules, even though you sent them to me 2 months ago.
He said he read them though.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I had watched a YouTube video one time just to see what it was like, but I do like that period. I like the whole the Caribbean pirates and Marines and.
Would you consider this a pike and shot period game, or just right after?
Well, right after, because. Pike and shot, you're talking about wheel lock muskets, and you're talking about a different type of rifle. These are sort of coming out of that and now getting into more of the black powder type system. So it's that early mid 1600s. So they're a little bit beyond the ECW period.
A little bit beyond now.
It's sort of like the start of the ECW and getting into the late. Like the French and Indian Wars and the American War of Independence period. So
because that's your jam.
Well, that's since I've moved to Canada from Australia. Like I knew no North American history, so
don't worry, nobody else in North America does either.
So I've sort of done a lot to learn about that, and like Tom, I know Tom has an interest in the AWI, so it's been pretty good. So for me, it's learning about this historical period, and Tom and I were talking about this earlier, and he was saying the same thing. Weren't you, Tom?
I was. I wanted to point out, for those of you that haven't had the wonderful context of being here with us this weekend at Fallen, that this is the most kind and polite that I've heard these two guys talking to each other.
I do love Scott, but I love trolling, and most people out there know this, So
I would point out that Mitch is a former navigator by profession, and yet the first night we were here, Scott was driving, and Mitch was giving him directions, and Mitch was purposely steering him every which way.
Hey, I'm no Vasco da Gama.
Almost drove over a median.
What do you? No, I'm not a navigator. What do you? Beaver Gator.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're trying to keep the E rating out. So I thought it was a great tournament. We had a lot of guys that were here before. Wonderful support once again from Phalanx and the guys at Firelock. I really. We can't say enough about this game. We're huge fans of it. I'm glad Scott is a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll take it back like the plague to Canada and get. Would Matt Varnish like this game?
I think Matt would. I think it's something that he would pick up, and I think he would play. Like we've also started playing Black Seas, and I know that's a Warlord game, and we're talking about.
No, we'll talk about that in a minute.
About Black Plunder. But, we've been waiting for like a maritime-based theme game, something a little bit different.
Well, you got a brigantine now, boss.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing I really like about Blood and Plunder. You can do naval warfare, you can do boarding parties, you can fire broadsides, you can send Indians, natives, North American natives in canoes to do raids on ships, or you can go searching for treasure or go capture an island fort and fight a land-based game.
And you have amphibious as well.
Yeah.
You also have the Army level, which is played at a high level of points. And, that's a ton of fun. But it's still not to the point where you're moving trays of dudes around like black powder.
Yeah.
It's still a different feel. And I think if you like the period, check out the rules. I think the rules are really tight. So let's talk about another game you guys got to play this weekend, which is Blood and Valor. It's Great War. It's going to be, by the time this podcast comes out, we should be able to say that it's available for pre-order. Firelockgames.com, we hope. Phalanx Consortium is doing the models for it. I don't know their time frame. But you played the Great War version. Yesterday I think we played Anzacs against Turks.
Yep.
From that was the Gallipoli list.
Yep.
And then today you see here we have the Arabs, the Near East Army. So now playing both games, do you see the similarities? And do the games cover the periods that they're supposed to, that they're focused on very well?
Yeah. I like the Blood and Valor. It plays very similar to Blood and Plunder. I think what they should have done is they should have taken the mechanic from Blood and Plunder, the cards and the command, instead of the dice system we use for the, you have 6 command. I think they should have adopted the same mechanic, used the card system. To me, that would have been a nice flow from this period into this, because they're both real skirmish type games.
Yeah.
It's still a good game. Like I enjoyed the game. The shooting is very different in this. Obviously, modern weapons, there's no need for the black powder reloading and all that. So it's a little bit quicker. And of course, now you've got a little bit more modern weaponry. You've got now machine guns and mortars, trench mortars, bombards, all that sort of thing. You've got vehicles. You've got, Mark 1, Mark 4 tanks. So it's a little bit different sort of game. And I know we're sort of staying to a 4x4 foot area, and I think that's
actually 3x3.
I think that's a little bit restrictive for this because it's a more modern game.
Closer.
Sorry, it's a more modern game. So a 3x3 foot playing area.
Well, these guys are playing on a 4x4, and it seems like they're doing quite a bit of maneuvering. But maybe playing this at like 200 points, 250 on a 6x4. It's probably not bad either.
Well, I think 6x4 would work.
Tom?
Having seen it played, I guess what I noticed most was that there seemed to be such a big emphasis on the huge strategic locations. Like once you got into that building, you were just able to just wipe out tons of people, all your Turks last night, right?
Well, assaulting a fortified building is never smart.
No, but I didn't get to see how the assault mechanic worked when I was kind of watching.
No, we just did it now with Steve Murga and your friend John, who we like, and he's an honorary NDNG guy.
How does the assault mechanic work in this game as opposed to Blood and Plunder? What's the
It's similar.
It's similar.
It's similar, and it's the thing about these armies, they were all trained to the same standard. There was no one force that, like, I know there's rifles and machine guns, and we're just going to do trench bayonets and knives. I mean, the game has one of the things that we didn't play with are the assault squads. I just figured they're a little harder to play with. They're a lot of fun, but the assaults, these guys, they were armed differently. They're really good, but it's the same mechanic. It's just real bloody because you assault a unit that's not loaded, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so it kind of works here. And as these two guys here, we have artillery and infantry, the North American crew. Steve is one of the most aggressive gamers I've ever met. They saw how bloody it is, but they keep going back and forth with it.
Yeah.
So, it's just the way the mechanic works. So, but I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully it'll be out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it evolves as well.
Yeah.
And it's not the traditional Great War trench warfare style game.
Yeah, thank God.
Because, I mean, you can, like you said, I mean, yesterday we played Anzacs and Turks. I mean, that could have been anywhere in Palestine.
Yeah.
It could have been in Gallipoli. And we know that Palestine and Gallipoli, that they weren't full-on trench wars the whole time. Gallipoli became that way, but certainly Palestine, and that wasn't.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that you can play that. And again, it's more the skirmish type game as opposed to the big battle.
Yeah.
So from that aspect, I like.
I guess to fully explain what we've been doing today, because today is...
Well, we're going to get into that now.
We're gonna get into that
of
now.
course, yeah.
So, as you hear the din of people around us...
Today was an NDNG demo day.
We started around 10 o'clock, and we went...
We did. Well, let's go through who we were sponsored by. We always like to name drop.
Yep.
But Warlord Games, Firelock Games, and ImageStudios.us. ImageStudios.us does Heart of Leviathan. From Warlord Games, we had Will Greensleeves came out. Great guy. Who was doing Judge Dredd, which just went on pre-sale.
I got to do a demo of that. So
what do you think of that game?
I'm not used to these skirmish games. I think the first one I've ever really played is Blood and Plunder. It really plays like a really fun asymmetrical warfare kind of thing because you got the judges coming in. You have the blasted lands, dystopian theme of it. The terrain is really unique. It's different, so it looks cool. He has all these old sculpts from the original version because I guess they bought the property from it.
Yeah.
They've improved upon it. So they have like the Angel Gang. If you've seen the Judge Dredd comics or you've watched the movies, he has all those characters that are there that you can get. The mechanics allow for all these kind of heroic actions that are unique to the different characters. It has the kind of same pulling chits mechanic as bolt action.
Yeah.
But with some twists. Where your good leadership can let you toss chits back in and have them go again. So I played as the bad guys because I suspected I would lose, and at least that would be one victory for Justice today. In all the games that I played. We'll talk about the other one that I played. Scott demoed another Warlord game for me.
Well, before you move off Judge Dredd,
yeah.
I don't like that style again. I like historicals.
Yeah, I haven't seen Judge Dredd or Strontium Dog, so I'm not familiar with them.
But I played Strontium Dog at Nova Open a couple of years ago, and I got the starter kit. And one thing that Warlord does great is the starter kit. It gives you all you need to start playing, so you can turn around, play. I bought it. I've never played it, but I was so impressed with the mechanics. It was slick.
Yeah, you're able to catch it pretty quick.
So let's talk about the other Warlord game that was big today. Scott ran about 4 or 5 hours, and I want to personally go out there for you thousands that will be listening to this and thank Scott for hooking up me by running Black Seas. He didn't do it for God, country, glory, no dice, no glory, the community. He did it, and I'm touched.
I did it,
and
for you,
I will buy
buddy.
you a beer tonight
I
at
did
dinner.
It for you.
So we ran Black Seas, and I tell you what, a lot of people are listening and wondering.
Yeah. So
what this game's about.
So Matt Varnish and I, we've been waiting for this late 1700s, 1800s sail type game, and of course, Warlord Games brought out Black Seas, and it was perfect. It was the Napoleonic sailing era. And we watched a lot of the beta tests and all the tests that Gabriel and the team were doing, and we were looking forward to it. and we waited, and they brought out the early purchase option. So I talked to Matt, and I said, let's do it. So we did. So we bought the Master and Commander. We bought a British naval fleet. We bought the French naval fleet. We bought basically everything. And I have my beautiful leather-bound signed copy of the rule book, which is excellent. So we got this finally, and we got into it. And he and I managed to get a couple of games in back up in Canada before this. And, Mitch said, would someone like to... And I said, yeah, I'll run, Black Seas. I've played it at least twice. And so I brought the ships and all of that Matt and I had put together.
We're gonna have you on in a minute here, Mike Tunez.
His French and my British, which looked really good. And I ran about 4 separate games with 4 different groups of people. We played Scenario 2 out of the rule book, which is the letter of marque, which is basically a merchant ship protected by a frigate trying to get away from 3 brigantine buccaneers.
To save her precious cargo.
Yes. I think you call them silk underwear or something,
hot
Tom.
Pants?
Yeah, hot pants.
Hot pants.
Hot pants and a hot
That's
tub.
what my merchant ship was carrying.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask a question because as we go into the Firelock Games we supported here today was Blood and Valor, Blood and Plunder, and Oak and Iron.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks are probably wondering... There's 2 sailing games coming out. They're hitting the market. You like them both.
I do. I've
tell folks why you like them both.
Well, I've tried both. So I played with. I went and did a few games with Firelock at Historicon this year, and then of course Matt Varnish and I have done a few Black Powders, and then I've run a day of Black Powder here. Black Seas, sorry. And to me, they're 2 different styles of game. They play differently. I find Black Seas, it's good because you can do, you can do a single ship on ship right up to...
You actually described it to somebody very good today. I'm going to repeat what you said. This is a ship skirmish game.
It is. So Black
Yes.
Seas to me is a ship skirmish game, and that's where I was going. Thanks for reminding Mitch.
Oh, I didn't know you were going to get there.
Yeah, so to me, like I said, it's
We're
a
rolling tape here.
1-on-1 up to a 3-on-3, or you can do these neat little missions, and it really is. It's a good naval skirmish game. You can have the East India Company chasing pirates through the Caribbean, whereas with Firelock's other game with their Oak and Iron, it's more. It's like the difference between having formed battalions or skirmish units, and Oak and Iron to me is the formed battalions version of the naval game. So it's well suited to like refighting Trafalgar or the British siege of in Holland or the Danish fleet or something.
Yeah, it's I say one is a ship skirmish game, the other one's a squadron game.
Yeah,
where as you build your fleet, and I don't know if you've seen the cards yet. We do have them on a shared drive. I can show it to you that. You can build a really synergistic fleet of 3 or 4 ships, and you can go up to first rates.
Yeah.
The other difference, too, folks, is one is Napoleonic period. The other one's 100 years before, where there was the naval parity was a little.
There is a difference.
It was a little different.
Yeah.
But it's gamers they have to. They only have $1. It's that thing. I got $1 to spend. Where should I spend it? Well, it depends what you like, and I think Scott said it very well. And he's a groggy grognard from Canada. But one is, I think they scratch different itches and, like Flames of War and Bolt Action. Yeah. There you go.
Well, let me ask you a question, because I got a chance to play the demo with Scott because he taught me how to play. And
yes.
I worry that I disappointed him because I steered my merchant ship directly into the wind and then proceeded to burn.
That's not a good idea.
No, it's not. But I didn't get a chance to play Oak and Iron yet. So games that I could compare this to that remind me of the kind of move mechanic are games like X-Wing and games like Armada, right?
Yeah.
And so the difference between them is the granularity, the level at which you go.
Yeah.
Is
Right.
it like that, or is it a little different?
Yeah.
So I think Oak and Iron is a bit like, to me, it's like a sailing ship version of X-Wing, or actually Armada. I mean, you have squadrons of ships.
Because the scale is bigger.
Yeah, the scale is bigger. So and your methods of engagement, you do engagements in Armada, and Oak and Iron is the same. It's to me the mechanic is like that.
And what about the scales of the ships?
Well, so Oak and Iron is 1/600 scale, and Black Seas is 1/700. There's not a lot of difference in size between the two. And look, realistically, in my world of, would I grab? Don't tell the boys at Firelock. Would I grab Oak and Iron? Their sloops and galleons and play them in Black Seas. Well, yeah, because the size wise, they're indistinguishable at that scale.
They listen to everything we put out, so and we'll have Mike Tunez on in a little bit to do spoilers. But I mean, that's the beauty of this hobby.
Yeah.
That what do you like? Play what you like.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for a fleet game because when you ask what do I like more, X-Wing or Armada, I like Armada.
Yeah.
I like the fleet engagements. I like how but it's I have Black Seas. I'll play that too. Different itches, totally different itches.
And I agree. And I like fleet games. Like I like Armada better than X-Wing. I like Black Seas because you do the points thing, and you can build a lot. You can play a 2,000 point game. If you want a decent sized fleet, you have to do that because you take a first rate like HMS Victory. It's 550 points.
Wow.
So I mean, it's really designed around the skirmish thing point wise. Whereas Oak and Iron, your points are building fleets as opposed to a ship.
Yeah, and you could take a single ship.
Yeah.
In either. I mean, it's different fun for everyone.
Yeah.
And then the other games that we had here today was Blood Red Skies McGalley. I already said, which is actually should be shipping soon, is Heart of Leviathan from GameImageStudios.us. We also did some Blood and Plunder demos today, and thank the guys. Mike Tunez was with us all day today.
Yeah, Glenn Goddard helped us out.
And then another NDNG guy, Glenn Goddard, Triple G, came out. So overall, it was fun. So what do you guys think of the con? This is a new location for it. I don't think it's never been here before.
It's not.
No.
It's casino. Maybe 2-day event right after Veterans or Remembrance Day. Not very crowded.
No.
I think like the place is beautiful. Like to me it's a bit too dispersed. Like we're sort of down one end of the area, and like it's you got to walk a kilometer to get to the other end.
Yes.
And it's not simple. It's like a rabbit warren. So if we wanted to go and there are a few other games I wanted to go and see, but you're finishing up a demo here. It takes you an hour to get to the other place to actually find it. So that was a bit of a challenge. So I sort of didn't get to see as much compared to the location and the setup we had for Historicon this year, which was everything was very close. Yeah, I just found the dispersion of this a little bit of a challenge.
So with us, I'm gonna turn the mic over to Mike Tunez so you guys can interview him.
All right.
But we asked for a lot of spoilers, and you guys you've interviewed him before, but now you got to see what he looks like. So with us today, of course, is Mike Tunez from Firelock Games.
I know. I got a question for Mike before he starts speaking, because Mike and I have talked a couple of times now. Once at a Historicon where he demoed Oak and Iron to me, and I keep asking him the same question: when am I going to get my Oak and Iron?
You personally will get it sometime next year. Everyone else who did the Kickstarter should probably get it sometime in December. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Stick this in my mouth. I got it. Yeah. No, but yeah, we should be late December at this point. According to the factory. Knocking on wood, of course, because they've so far been wrong most of the time. But this time I know that everything's done. I see
excellent.
it, so it's just a matter of them getting it and
I'm
setting
looking
it.
forward to it, man. If it's only a month away, I can't wait.
I know, me too. You have no idea. I'm sitting on my hands just waiting. It's very frustrating. Can't wait to get it. Finally have everything, be able to share it with people.
So
awesome.
once the starter kit finally comes out,
right?
What's the plan next for that game? Do you already have stuff you want to do with Open Iron?
So thankfully, one of the good things about just sitting around and waiting is we've got the Wave 2 already well underway. So one of the first things you're going to expect to see out of Oak and Iron for Wave 2 is we're going to start doing nationality boxes. So you can just buy a box. It'll come with, we're trying to figure out whether it'll be 3 or 4 ships now. We are going to be doing a different manufacturer. So things could change, so we'll see. But it should be 3 or 4 ships in the box. And some of those will be unique sculpts of named ships. So, for example, one of the first you'll see the English and the Spanish. The English box is going to have a third rate based around the ship called the Anne, HMS Anne, which fought in the Battle of Beachy Head. And the only ship that was taken out in that battle on the English side, if I remember correctly. But so we're going to we'll have a specific ship card for that ship, as well as the captain for it and specific admirals and some English-specific cards and extras in that box. So from the starter set, you can grab any of these boxes and plug it right in and just get an instant kind of patrol sort of fleet. So it'll have a third rate. Each one's going to have a third rate or equivalent. Like the Spanish will have the Spanish is going to be more of a treasure fleet kind of box. So that one will have instead of a third rate, it's going to have a larger galleon. So it's going to be a galleon, a very, very large galleon. It's going to be like about the size of the first rate model, but it'll be gunned like a third rate.
Okay.
So it's kind of in between.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So one of the things, I'm into Oak and Iron and I'm into Black Seas, and I like both. And I've been demoing Black Seas today, and I've done the Oak and Iron with you, and I like both games because to me they're both different.
Right.
My question for you is a lot, and I know a lot of people are always going, are we going to get sloops? Are we going to get, we have the standard brigantines, and we have frigates, and we have second rates and first rates and third rates, fourth rates and fifth rates. But there's those little unusual boats. So if let's say you go, you look at battles along the Nile,
right.
So the ships that the Turks had, the ships that the Arabs had, those sorts of things. Are you going to go down to?
Absolutely. We already have sloops, in fact.
Yeah.
So
like a what?
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 What? I know nobody can hear you,
Mitch
but
is
you're still
saying
talking to us.
X-Spec, but I mean, I'm not even going to get started on the words you were using last night because they're not appropriate for an E-rated podcast.
No, it's not.
So right now, of course, because one of the difficult things about doing a game with a lot of detail and flavor and all the factions like Oak and Iron is that you've got to have some research to work off.
Yeah.
And the period we're working in, finding information on things like the Portuguese, the Russians, the Ottoman Turks, and then different. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting it. So the Venetian Navy thing. So we want to do all that stuff. I'm working on right now. So if anybody out there has good sources and wants to send me some information about tactics, personalities, ship plans, things like that, let me know. But we're looking for. So I'm in the process of researching all that. That's all stuff we plan on doing. One of the first things I want to do is cover the Baltic. So like a lot of Great Northern War stuff. So Swedes, Russians, Danes, Ottomans, stuff like that. I've been able to find some stuff. So working toward it slowly. That'll probably be a 2022 thing because it's just going to take a long time to get the research done and find all the information, get enough stuff going to really release it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we even want to go all the way to Asia and do junks and things like that and cover the East India Company. And
I can't wait to have Captain Cook on board and have him sail down and
there you go.
find my homeland or my old homeland.
Right. Right. So that's absolutely in our plans. We plan on, just like we do with Blood and Plunder, this is going to be a big flagship game for us, so we're going to support this for the long haul. And we've got organized play coming out the gate as soon as it launches, we're ready to go on that. And tournament support and all that stuff. And we got events going on already at Adepticon, all signed up. We've got our events lined up for next year, so we got a big year planned for not only Oak and Iron, but Blood and Plunder and Blood and Valor and everything else.
Yeah, so let me ask you about that because I've already bought way more of your stuff than I probably should have, especially since I've lost 11 consecutive games. But so tell us what you have planned for Blood and Plunder. What's coming out next year?
Next year is going to be a really big year for Blood and Plunder because next year we're doing a Kickstarter for Blood and Plunder again. So we didn't do one last year because we did Oak and Iron, right?
You did a Firestarter for the Pikemen.
And we're going to have some Firestarters with any luck this year, if not very early next year. But so those are going to be, we're going to do it differently this time. The first one was kind of a trial run, learn the do's and don'ts. So we've learned we think we can do it a lot better now. So we're going to do it, and we're going to do it not just with one unit, but we're going to do a whole bunch of units at once. So some things we're going to do, we're going to create some new units for the North American natives. So not only models, but new units to go with them. So you can fight your early French and Indian wars like King William's War and Queen Anne's War and stuff like that.
Actually, it's funny you mention that because I said to Tom, because I played Blood and Plunder for the first time yesterday's tournament.
Okay.
I read the rules an hour before we played.
Perfect, yeah.
And I loved it. It was a great game. And Mitch, being very generous, he gave me he built me a Scottish militia force to play with, so which I really enjoyed. And I was talking to Tom earlier, and I said, you know what I'd really like? I'd really like some British Marines.
Right.
Because they came in then. That's when they came into service. I'd love to see a unit of British Marines.
Well, they're in there already.
Yeah. But the figures, the
models.
models.
Yeah, we have figures.
Oh, do you?
So we have, it's kind of a generic 17th century soldier.
No.
But are you talking about with the...
British Marine.
So it depended on which regiment they're in. But yeah, they had various uniforms. I know. But that's one of the things. So that's going back
good.
to... So just to finish up on the fire starters real quick. So we'll have North American natives. We're going to do Canadian militia, Coeur d'Ivoire, Indian fighters, guys like that, which are early rangers on the English side. So those will all be there.
Awesome.
So you'll be able to, fund it. And as soon as it funds, we'll start making them. And so we're going to be able to cover a lot more cool stuff there.
Well, when I get back to Canada, they'll all be happy to know that there's a bit more Canadian stuff that's going to come. So,
exactly. So they got so next year. The big thing is our Kickstarter, which is going to move the timeline forward in our Blood and Plunder universe into the 18th century.
Oh, sweet.
So that's going to cover initially the Queen Anne's War.
Yep.
As well as the golden age of piracy, the later part of it. So toward the kind of like the sunset of pirates, right?
Okay.
So the big thing on that is it's going to be all plastics. So everything in that Kickstarter is going to be hard plastics, minis on sprues. Multi-part sprues, generic models that you can customize and give different weapons and accessories to, and all that good stuff, including at least one multi-part plastic ship.
And Scott is shocked.
The moment the word plastic came out of your mouth, you lost me. The thing I loved about Blood and Plunder and you guys is that you're still doing metal 28
and we're still going to keep doing metal. The good thing about plastic is that it gives us a lot more flexibility, and it lets us give a lower price point to get people into the game and more flexibility.
So as a long-time miniature buyer, I'll be honest with you right now, I don't care about the cost, and I know I'm only one person.
Right.
I will take a metal miniature in a skirmish game like this, where I'm not buying hundreds over a box of
Well, you'll be happy to know
plastic.
that the metals aren't going anywhere. There'll be new metals coming out still.
Yeah.
We're going to keep doing that for probably forever. But
don't get there are some nice plastic figures, like I like the Victrix plastic figures for my ancients and things like that. I'm not. I just in this sort of game, the fact I really love about it, your ships are resin and they're so beautifully done, and your figures are metal and they're friggin' awesome. Their character, they've got lots of character.
And the ships are a single piece. They're you don't need to assemble.
But they're metal and they're friggin'.
Right.
They're good.
And there's lots of people out there who will say, we have tons of people all the time who come up to me and be like, I'm ready to buy into your game as soon as you do plastics.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know.
And there's people. So we want to meet that demand, of course.
Yeah,
so we want to do both. We're going to have the metal and the resin. We're going to have the plastics.
Yep.
And the plastic's going to be great, especially for stores and things like that, because you can get a plastic box, and because of all the different head and little part options, that plastic box can make several nationalities and make them look different and unique.
There's no doubt plastic is far more flexible.
So you can carry a smaller amount of stuff, but still be able to support the game fully.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good thing overall for the game, and I know a lot of people are going to be excited about it.
Yeah.
And the big thing is that it's going to let us do a 2-player starter set, which is going to be the core of the Kickstarter.
Excellent, yeah.
And that's going to be, and we've talked about it before, but that's going to be based off Blackbeard's last fight, so where he fights Robert Maynard. So in that box, at least at the moment, you'll have 2 ships. You have 2 small sloops. You'll have 2 full crews for each ship. You'll have all the rules, the cards, the dice, the tokens, a mat, stuff like that. So kind of similar to what you got in Oak and Iron, but Blood and Plunder now.
That sounds perfect.
So that's going to be a big thing that is going to help get a lot of people into the game. Plus the theme of that box alone, even if you're not into the game, which you should be, but even if you're not, it's just a cool model kit to put together.
No, I would say that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons I picked the Dutch as the faction that I bought wasn't because it was the new one. It was because they had a North American militia, and I was talking to Scott earlier about I went up to Ticonderoga and I did a whole week there where they were teaching us about Benedict Arnold's Navy and their invasion of Canada when Canada was the enemy. And
right.
I'm excited to do. I will be buying into that Kickstarter the second it goes up online, and I'm also planning on doing some demos up in the Northeast. So those of you who are friends of mine or have been to the clubs, I'm going to probably try to make it down to Mythicos Games in Susquehanna, New Jersey, because they have a really great crew there. And over at Kerwan's game store in Catskill, New York, I'm going to do some demos for them. So we're looking at that in either December or January. So by the time this comes out, keep posted on the Facebook page, and I'll let you know where I'm going to be. And I have all my minis painted this time. I'm ready to go. I got my Blood and Plunder guys. So if you want to see how the game works, I'm happy to show it to you. I ran 4 demos today, and I brought one poor friend over, and he bought himself an army right away. But he's psyched. So.
Yeah, so up in Canada, so I'm up in Ottawa, and the crew that I'm with up there is a group called Dice Devils.
Okay.
And we play a variety of games, where the typical, we play Flames of War and we play Team Yankee, but a lot of us like skirmish games as well. So we play Bolt Action. Some of the guys play Infinity. They play Star Wars Legion. And those guys that I play those with, I don't play Legion, but I do Bolt Action. That I can't wait to take this back and say, hey guys, you got to try Blood and Plunder, and that like a 2-faction set with the ships. What a great starter that will be.
Yeah.
Are you going to do the ships in plastic, or are you staying with the
ships will be in plastic? Those ships will be in plastic.
Yeah.
So what those will be. So the plan is you'll probably see some stretch goals or some additional. But depends how far we get between now and then, and what we're able to pay for essentially out of our own pocket. So you're going to see at least one small ship, and that ship will have options to be able to rig it into different types of ships.
Fantastic.
So you'll have it. It'll function as a schooner, as a frigate. Function as a schooner, as a bark long, as a sloop, as a brigantine.
Yep.
A catch, different types of rigs. So it'll have different parts in there, so you can build it differently.
Oh man, that's perfect.
So that's going to be a nice flexible kit. So the idea is to do a small one, and then also a larger one.
Yep.
So a 3-deck ship. The smaller one's a 2-deck ship. The larger one will be a 3-deck ship.
Yep.
And then have those options in there for the same thing. So you'll have different options on the whole.
Yeah.
And so that's the plan.
Well, I tell you, if the quality is anything, so yesterday we played, I came third in the first game of Blood and Plunder I've ever played, and I picked up the Brigantine as a prize, and man, I love that thing. I opened it up and I looked at it, and it's just a beautiful kit. And all the guns and all the options to do all the rigging material, and I just went, oh, this is just sweet. Yep. I said, I'm going to keep playing this game.
Now, the only thing I think that doesn't come in the ship kit is the sails.
The sails themselves, right?
So you think you might have a lead on something like that, or you're
not
sure
yet?
Yeah,
so we're talking. It won't be in the box, I don't think, because it's going to be kind of like an accessory. But we've been talking to our friends at Foreground, and he has some ideas on how he can make some nice sails that won't be too papery, but kind of nice and have a little bit of texture to them and stuff. So we'll see what he comes up with. I'm waiting to see what he's got, and he'll send it to us, and that might be an option for the future.
Yeah, so I was looking at that, and was my mother-in-law is very talented.
Yeah.
So I've got some designs in my head, and I was thinking of using rayon. It's like a very, very thick cotton, but it's got a really good texture to it.
Right.
So I'm gonna go and get her to. I'll cut her. I'll say, here's the pattern. Go make me some sails, lady.
Yeah.
So
you probably can. So remember, we do have the patterns online, so you can download the patterns. And just
well, that's just made my job easier. I'll just give them and say, hey, go make me some.
Just print it out and hand it to her, and there you go. Say, make this.
Yeah. No, look, that sounds good. I mean, where you're going with Blood and Plunder, I really like it as a first timer to play Blood and Plunder. I really like it as a game. I think it's the mechanics, and I was saying to Mitch and Tom earlier, I really like the mechanics, the system of how to work out who goes when, and you've got to think ahead to actually.
Right.
I want to do this, but I've got to do this and this and this and this to make sure it works, and I love it. It's fantastic.
Cool. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, very much.
Very good.
I think so. Mitch, I'm going to turn over to Mitch here.
There we go.
Well, is there anything else you want to spoil for us, or no?
I don't know. What do you want to ask me about?
There's a lot of stuff. We may want to get one of the DeVanes. Oh, Steve Murga's leaving. Watch out. Hide your daughter. Merger's leaving. Hey, and one thing I do want to say that we got you here is you guys, thank you for supporting us this weekend with all the great prizes. I also want to give a shout-out.
Happy to do it.
To Rufus, can you hand me that piece of paper, sir? Yes. That piece. No, the paper. Paper.
It's not like he's recording or anything.
Yeah, it's not like I'm recording.
Gracious.
Hey, so big thank you to Owl Central Games and Hobbies in Berks County. Their Facebook is Owl Central Games. They donated the ship we gave away. So somebody walked out of here with a galleon.
Awesome. Yeah, that was really cool.
And but thank you guys, and thanks Phalanx so much for supporting us. You know, I know I thank them, but I think our guys plundered their shelves quite a bit yesterday.
They did. We did a pre-release of Scurvy Dice too, and we brought, I think it was 12 boxes, and last I looked, there's 2. So
all right, so I got to go get one. They're closed. But, thank you guys very much. You know, at No Dice, No Glory, we love you guys.
We know. We love you too.
All right, man. And we're going to take a break. We'll turn it back to Sean. But, Mike, thanks a lot for everything.
No problem.
And we'll speak to you soon, brother.
Always happy to talk to you guys.
Ciao. Back to Sean in the studio. Hey, well, thank you, Sean. And we're back. And this time, continuing with our Firelock theme of the day, I am here with Rufus and Kai DeVane, the brain power behind the brand new game coming to your house pretty soon, Blood and Valor. Hey, guys.
Hello.
What's up? What's up? Look at it. He's all of a sudden and you got to get that thing really close.
Like brushing my lips.
You remember what I told you before the podcast?
Yes.
Relax your throat, make eye contact. So
I don't like eye contact.
Okay, well, it's really bad. But so you guys have a very exciting game coming out that it seemed to be a big hit of this show, Blood and Valor.
Right.
So let's just go with first. What is it?
Well, Blood and Valor is
did you say Blood and Valor?
That was whatever. Blood and Valor is a World War I skirmish level game.
Yes.
In the family tree of Blood and Plunder. So if you're a Blood and Plunder player, you'll recognize the similarities of Blood and Valor, but it's not an identical game system. I call it more of a cousin, but it'd be an easy transition from one to the other. And a lot of people say, what is, skirmish? When I say skirmish, I'm looking to give you the flavor of World War I, but not spend 2 days or a weekend setting it up and playing a game. It's the idea is you can play with 25 to 30 miniatures, maybe 35 hour or so, hour and a half game, have a good time, and get the flavor and all the interesting different units.
It's also played on the 3x3 or a 3x4?
3x3, 3x4. The beauty of a 3x3 is it fits on your dining room table.
It does.
Tight. You don't need as much terrain to make, things like that. That's kind of a trend in wargaming now to go for the smaller mats, the narrower mats.
Well, because we're living in smaller houses.
Yeah, of course.
Those little house TV shows on home shopping.
Yeah, I don't live in one of those.
So the big reason why I wanted both of you guys here is where did this idea come from?
Well, here's the true story, 100%, and Kyle attest to it. I was marinating in my pool, as I usually do, because we're live in Orlando, but we're all Floridians.
Yeah.
And Kai, who's my son, said, hey, he came up with the idea. He said, what about doing a World War I skirmish game? And it just, you have the eureka moment. And I said, that's a great idea. And I literally toweled off and went upstairs and started typing, and we started working on it together.
Yeah, and it's awesome, the father-son team, but, you have an interest in the Great War.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Battlefield 1. It was a video game that came out 2016. I was playing it, and I was like, hey, all this stuff looks cool. So I looked into it. I went to YouTube. I looked at the Great War. I started watching videos until I knew a lot about it.
I tell my son video games do nothing but ruin your mind.
Well, that's true. That's
but
still true.
In your case, your case it didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So you said, hey, why don't we do this?
Yeah.
Now, looking at a lot of people have put out games, and if you notice, nobody else is playing those games here. People will come by your table or the table we had set up here and go, well, wait, what is this?
Right.
Oh, and then everybody says right after that, you know what I have in my closet?
Yeah, well, that brings up the point. I think intentionally or unintentionally, I hit a nerve, a niche that nobody's touched in a while, and a lot of guys have World War I miniatures, and they've been just collecting dust, and they're like, oh my God, I could use them, and use them in a good game, a good quality balanced game where they can have fun and enjoy and play, and have a good time, but not have to paint 500 miniatures either.
Yeah, I hate that.
They can start playing and start doing stuff.
So you guys gave a bunch of demos. We gave a bunch of demos here too. I got a lot of WoW. This is fun. After the
I think a lot of games skip that. At the end of the day, it's a game that should be fun.
You go figure.
It should be fun.
It should
some
be
guys
fun.
games gets overwhelmed with minutia and it becomes unfun.
Yes.
That happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's the other one I get too. It's like there's a lot here under the hood, and because the game's cousin has a lot under the hood, easy, fun to play, represents the period very well. This one represents the period very well. This is a fire and maneuver game, folks. Like if you leave your guys out in the open, in Blood and Plunder, it's hard to hit with those things. Not every unit has firearms. Kai, what happens to people that leave their troops out in the middle of the table?
You tend to get melted very quickly.
Which is that hip speak for dead?
Dead.
Yeah. Us old farts will say you get killed.
You get
melted.
killed.
I like melted. That's
yeah,
a good one.
melted. But yeah, I mean, it's the comments after running people through this, so they cannot wait to get it.
Yeah.
So let's go to that question. When can I get this? And are we doing books, cards, tokens, miniatures?
Yes. The books are being done by Firelock Games.
Yes.
The miniatures that, once again, you could use your own miniatures, but we have a really great-looking line of miniatures coming out with Phalanx Consortium. And Phalanx Consortium has a whole line of tokens for the game.
Yes.
So we're working in parallel with them to produce, they're doing the miniatures aspect, we're doing the rules aspect. And pre-orders should be up right around Thanksgiving for the book.
So about a week after this podcast hits.
Right, and pre-orders for the miniatures are up now for Phalanx Games. Yes, they are.
And they could get there via the web?
The web, yeah, or if they're at a con, if they see them at a con.
Do you know what their website is, Phalanx?
I think it's Phalanx Consortium.com.
If not, just PM us on the No Dice page or Blood and Valor. So you guys started about 4 months ago. You started a Facebook group.
Right.
And I think I was one of the first 40 or so. How many are you up to now?
1.1 thousand, I think.
Yeah, we're about 1,500 now.
Yeah,
wow.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's like less than 6 months, guys.
Yeah, it's 5 months, actually. I just looked at it. It's 5 months.
Yeah, I mean.
And I really appreciate everybody involved in it, but it's pretty cool that guys are so hyped up about it. And, it's the game's not out yet. So, hopefully, when the game comes out, it even blows up even more and people really get into it.
I think it will. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. What's it like working with your dad and the son on a game together?
It's horrible. No, it's great.
It's the worst experience of my life.
No, but
it's horrible.
Is it really?
Never do it ever again.
Because, I've known you guys for a little bit. You don't really get along. No. I mean, was it a lot of fun?
Yes, it is. It is. I did a lot of the writing duties because I got type better than Kai. Simple as that.
You probably could spell better than him too.
Yeah. But we would have sessions of talking and just discussing and coming up with ideas, and Kai's really good at that. Come up with this idea, and I'm like, oh, that'll work. That's a good idea, and throwing ideas off of each other, and then coalescing that into putting it on paper and put it in the game.
So your wife has a Lennon and McCartney in her house.
I don't know about that good. He doesn't know who those are. So
no, I know who that. Come on.
Yes, he does.
You think I don't know who the Beatles are? Come on, Jesus. Who do you think you're talking to?
All right, so you know who the Beatles are.
Yeah, of course I know.
Which is good. So you guys found it fun. I noticed.
Yeah.
And you could see when you guys demo the game, you're still having fun playing this.
That's the funny thing is I'm waiting. I have not got to play truly for fun yet. Because every game I run or every game I participate in, it's another play test in my head.
Yeah.
Once the book's out, the rules are out. I haven't painted an army for myself yet. But, we have multiple armies, but, this is mine, 100%. I can't wait to get that where I'm just playing to win. I'm just playing.
Yeah.
No thought, no nut, but it hasn't got to that stage yet. It will.
In January.
Yeah, I can't wait, though.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hold that book in my hand. That's my goal.
And that's it, too. Like, you guys have put a shit. a shit ton of work in this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when that thing comes out, it's going to be like a grandchild, perhaps?
Well, it's always been, in the back of my head, I've always wanted to do that, have a published book. And it's kind of neat. Kyle will be 18 years old and it be published. So
Yeah.
That's it. That never goes away. You always have that, to have that, like, hey, you want to see my book? Which is cool. And I'm sure, it's just why not, right? It'd be fun.
Do you think you would parlay that into picking up women?
Absolutely. Yeah, any opportunity I can.
Well, not me. What are you, crazy? I'm married. But, yeah.
No, him.
Oh, he should walk around with the book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know you're speaking to a published author?
Well, I mean.
The only problem with that plan is we're sitting in an HMGS show. Not a lot of women rolling around here right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but, women do like the Great War.
Yeah.
And you guys.
The other thing that's great about it is that the movie 1917 is coming out right at the same time. And, coincidentally.
How do you think that movie's going to be?
I don't know.
I don't know. I hope it's not hokey.
I hope it's not just like another action Hollywood type movie.
So let me ask a crazy question. When you go, you guys will be there opening night. Are you going to sit there and say, no, that's not real. Well, maybe we should have put that in the game. Is now that movie tainted for you in some way?
I did that beforehand with basically every movie. But I can accept, it's Hollywood, here and there. Or if it's not supposed to be realistic, I can understand.
You know what show that I watch Gallipoli, the Gallipoli series, not the show. And I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, okay, I got this right. This is all right. Everything is, coalescing. Everything's stuff. And I'm like, where's the machine gun? I need a machine gun. And then I heard the tut, 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 tut. And I'm like, okay, good. I got machine guns. All right, we're good. I know they had machine guns there. But I wasn't, you start second-guessing yourself. And you're like, okay, we're good. Snipers, got it. All right, good. So hopefully, the movie's more in that vein. But,
So I know you guys saw They Might Not Grow Old.
Of course.
Because you made a post about it. Did that, as soon as you guys saw that movie, did you go home and, did it re-energize you to kind of put some stuff in the game?
Yeah, well, it just makes it. I mean, it's a great documentary.
It makes everything feel more real.
They feel like real people. They're not jerky images from 100 years ago. They're real human.
How'd that change the game? The human element?
Yeah, I guess it changed the game a little bit. Not a massive change, but because we shall not grow old. Hit you in the heart.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I don't play modern games.
Yeah.
Because I know guys that have done, World War I separated enough from us where we could game it.
There's nobody left.
Right. I don't want to play, something where a friend of mine I know was involved. We got to have the separation.
It's too soon.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I can look at it as a game and and the historical interest of it. But, yeah. I mean, my hope is people play this game and then they research and learn more about it.
And you've done, Kai, a ton of reading.
Yeah.
And I know my family's very happy that I've gotten rid of stacks of books lately.
Books, yeah.
And it's somebody's like, giving and I got to tell you what a feeling was for me, because I knew you were going to read them. I knew you were going to enjoy them. And very few people will ever ask me for any of those books.
Yeah.
Right.
And that to me is, I think this history is important.
Oh, yeah.
So much change in those 4 years.
The beauty of it, too, is that just helps your research, little personal research library.
Yeah.
They're there. So you can reference stuff. And, you start building. I have tons of history books, but now I have more history books on World War I than any genre but they'll be there, so I can always
I plan on shipping you guys another stack of them pretty soon. And so let's go back to the game. You guys are covering a lot of ground. So one of the things that folks say about the Great War is, I don't like trench warfare.
Yeah,
well, tell me about this game.
There's a common misconception that all of World War I was just trench warfare and stuff.
You mean it wasn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
People always look the Western Front. Oh, look, the French are in the trench. The whole thing.
The French are in the trench?
Yeah, I did that one on purpose, but there's a lot more to it. There's the scope of the war. It's a world war after all. I mean, there's tons more.
He got me all messed up because the French are in the trench. I got to walk it in my pocket.
Exactly.
You're very Seussical, my man.
Thank you. I did that one on purpose.
And that's it, too. So the first iteration of the book, we're looking at Western Front.
Yeah, well, let me break it
down. Go
down.
ahead, please.
The first, iteration of the book, as you said, it's going to be 11 factions, 11 different army lists you can build.
It really was a world war.
Yeah. And they're going to be Western Front, early war Western Front, as well as, the trench warfare, because people, you got to address that. We're going to have Gallipoli, the Near East, and Southeast Africa, which is Mitch's favorite area.
And it should be yours.
Yeah,
it's fun. They never lost.
But the beauty of it is you can fight in jungles, desert, mountains, trenches, mud, fields. It's all there. Forces that are available are Americans, Germans, British, French, Belgians.
It's Belgians, by the way.
Belgian. I mess a word up all the time.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
No offense to Belgian people.
We believe it or not, we've only gotten like 2 downloads ever in Belgium.
No. I'm going to make them download it now.
Yeah.
We have Near East. You have, of course, Ottomans of Gallipoli, Anzacs, Lawrence of Arabia, Arab irregulars.
Well, let's talk about
all
the
that
heroes of the game, because
Right.
just like the cousin, a lot of people, some people, I got to be honest, that you guys have in Blood and Plunder, I never heard about, but I went and read a lot of Benderson's books, so I'm interested in the history. You guys have some really unique characters in there. Who's your favorite character so far that when you've played this game for fun that you really want to play?
Actually, Ataturk is my guy.
Really? The father of Turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find Turkey so interesting because the British rolled in there and with the French, with the whole Gallipoli invasion, thinking, it's going to be a cakewalk, and boy, and he was the rod that put, kept them.
The
kept
amazing
Turkish
story about that guy.
You just stopped him like a brick wall, and
The Anzacs are pouring off the beach on 25 April.
right.
And he saw his people retreating, and he's like, "No, this is where we're stopping." And he goes, "Well, do you order us to fight?" "No, I do not order you to fight. I order you to die. And by the time they can kill us, more will come." That guy's a baller.
Yep, yeah. But he's a cool character. That you bring that up, that adds a whole other layer of flavor to army building with characters. And we not only have commander characters, we have like Dan Daly. We have
Billy Singh for the
Billy
Anzacs.
Singh.
Yeah.
We have there's lower level, like snipers, machine gunners. There's other levels of characters in it.
Who's Kai's favorite?
My personal favorite is Captain Rommel.
Really?
I like Rommel
Hauptmann Rommel?
Yep.
Yes.
Was he related to the guy in World War II, the Desert
no,
Fox?
completely
Oh,
unrelated. It's
okay.
just a really big coincidence there.
Yeah.
He wrote a book, too. I don't know if you know about it.
Yeah.
Tactics
Yeah,
type
tactics
thing. Yeah,
type thing.
tactics.
It's boring
I read
anyway.
your
I
book.
wouldn't read it. I love the fact that he gets 2 over-the-top maneuvers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, he has 2
Yeah,
grand
he gets
maneuvers
2
in the
grand
game.
maneuvers.
Yeah.
Which just
And
means
he's
you can move everywhere.
he's a 50-point commander.
Well worth it.
Yeah, he is worth it, but I can't wait to see the guy roll up with the 150-point list with the 50-point commander in it.
You know it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Well, and 150 is just a recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
So, somebody came by today, and they go, "What's this?" And I get a lot of "What's this?" And he sat down and played a game, and Howard, I think his name was, never met the man, very nice guy. And he played it because he also has a million of these things. And just like you guys, big history buffs of the Great War. And he said something interesting as he left. He goes, "This tells the story." And I wanted
that's cool.
that's why I wanted to talk to
Yeah.
both you guys together, just to tell you, like, he said that. And I know I see the chill coming up.
Yeah, it's
That,
kind of
to
cool.
me, is, I've never heard that before from a game. He goes, this tells the story. It tells it rather well. And that means this is going to be a hit, guys.
I hope so.
This is the first time I ever saw you looking for something to say.
I hope. I truly hope. Of course, that's the whole desire, but I can't wait to get into. I want it to be a hit, so I already got the second book, the expansion in my head. Let's get more stuff going. Let's do different things, and and it's just, like I said, I can't wait to hold it in my hand. The book.
Are you
going to
sleep
in my hand?
Are you going to sleep with it that night?
Oh, I'm going to put a copy in my room.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to look at that sucker every morning.
Yeah. We're all up there.
I'm gonna
The
tape
first
it to
one that
roof
comes
so I
off the
can look at
press, you'll frame, right?
Yeah.
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 I mean, people really do that.
No.
Or I'll sell it.
No,
Wait a
I'm
minute.
going to
Can I
sell
get
it.
more
Yeah,
for
I'm
that?
going to
No,
sell it
Kyle
first.
sell it.
I'll
I'll
sell
frame
it.
it.
And
Yeah.
think about that first one whenever I want.
Well, I saw an early draft of the book, and it's just like the the pictures and the color of No Dice. No, hold on.
It's been a long run.
Blood and Plunder. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
That it's beautiful.
Yeah, the book. Our graphic artist at Firelock Games is top notch, and her favorite period of history is this period.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yep.
She goes from the 1900s to the 1920s. That's her. She loves the art. She loves the look.
You can give her a shout out.
She even did this. The font on the front of the book is pulled directly off of period newspaper font.
Wow.
So that's how passionate she is about it. In the background of the pages, she's taken actual trench maps from period to put the text on top of, in the background.
Well, she's going to listen. Give her a shout out, guys. I know who it is, but
it's Lily. Lily
Figueroa.
Oh, how do you mess up her name?
I call her Lily.
Lily.
Yeah, and she's awesome.
Incredible artist.
But I cannot.
Figueroa?
Yeah,
Figueroa?
I
don't know.
All right.
Call her Lily from Firelock.
All right, we can take a break. You can call her up and say, hey, what should we call you? But, I'm excited for this. I cannot wait for people to get excited. I want to hold a tournament with this game.
Oh.
Can
I mention it?
Oh, the finger of death was just pointed at me.
First, I've already put in
for
the first official Blood and Valor tournament. It's going to be at this year's Adepticon.
Damn.
The first official Oak and Iron tournament will be at Adepticon also.
I'm going to have to go.
And the plan on this is what I call this is a learning tournament. So don't be intimidated at all. You're going to ask lots of questions. We're going to get guys there.
Are you going to bring models for everybody to play with?
Yeah, and if you want to roll in there and buy a box set and throw them on the table, we're going to accept it. It's fine.
Okay.
This is the first one. We want guys getting an understanding, getting some games under there, and have that first go.
You guys get me the deets so I can throw that out there pretty soon.
Yeah. Well,
so,
I have it official. I should make it official because I'm already on the Adepticon schedule, so it's going to happen.
And when this goes out, a couple thousand people will know it's official.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for 12, maybe 16 players of the first go, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I'll tell you what. Now
there will be prize support, and I'm going to make special medals for it, just like the Blood and Plunder medals.
Yeah. You want to tell us about those?
No, I think we should leave that as a surprise.
Yeah. I think
that's
long.
I
think that
like a phallic-y kind of thing, but it'll be all right.
There's nothing wrong with the phallic-y thing.
It's an innuendo.
Shaped like a big bullet, pretty much.
A phallus, yeah. Well, I can tell you this: like a lot of great comments. A lot of times when you guys are demoing the game, when it's drawing towards the end.
I got to tell you one.
Today.
You got to love gamers. You got to love the guys who come to these things. I'm demoing over in the other hall. Guy plays the first round. He says, hey, I got something to do for just a second. I'm like, sure, go ahead, do what you got to do. He runs off, buys miniatures, runs back. He goes, will these work in the game? Yes. We play another round. He runs off and buys more miniatures and runs back. So I'm like, you want me to make you a list? Or, you could do that? Sure. Let's knock one out. He played this game for 15 minutes. He's like, this is all 100%. Let's do it.
Guys.
The game's not out yet.
There's a need.
But it's just, I was like, wow, all right, go get them.
I think there's a void in the whole scope of the game and stuff. I think there's a void in games of a game sort of like this that covers a period like this.
There's a void. There's a hole.
There's a hole. Yeah, there's a hole at this point.
Yeah, so I was talking with another old grog before, and I'm not going to mention any of the other games that have come and tried to do this. You guys succeeded. There's been a need for this.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people have thought about doing this. You guys will. I think will succeed here. This will succeed.
My ultimate dream, is we got a 20, 30-person tournament, and everybody's yelling and screaming.
My ultimate dream is world peace and 27 virgins.
Nah, screw that. No. I'm talking like
No. I don't care about that. I care about a big.
Yeah. Hey, quick question
peace.
though. Male or female?
Wait.
Hey, what kind of virgins? Yeah, good point.
You didn't specify.
Good point.
I shouldn't say that. Yeah.
Hey, world peace. How will we make any more war games if that happens, dude?
Yeah. So you guys,
World War III, so
you guys had an interesting anecdote there. Somebody said the game's too bloody.
Oh, the water balloon guy.
Yeah,
I remember him.
Yeah, it wasn't for water balloons.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's like the guys that said, he goes, this captures it. This tells the story.
Should be. I mean, it's World War I.
Yeah.
Your guys are going to die.
Yeah.
And that's another point that a lot of guys have come up with, oh, it's trenches, you're going to sit in your trench. No, every scenario in the game forces you to move.
Right.
This is a small platoon. This is not sit in a trench and roll dice to see who could roll better. You got to move. You got to be tactically sound. And the goal of the game is easy to learn, hard to master.
It is.
You play your first game, you learn it, and then you went, man, I should have done this, I should have done that. And then you become a good player. Level the playing field, so if you are a good player, you will win more games.
Yes.
It's not a luck thing, it's a good skill thing.
Well, let's peel this one back real quick because I know everybody's getting hungry. There's a double mechanic in these games. I'm talking about both Firelock games that people say, I had bad dice, so I lost. Okay. But there's another mechanic, which is the activation system, both very unique to both games. In order to really screw up this game as a player, you have to fail at both.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I've seen it happen.
Because even if you have
Well,
bad...
it's possible.
It's always possible.
It's always possible.
We watched it tonight with Stephen Murga.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, Murga. Yeah. I love
him with
Mullethead Murga. And that's the other one, too. It's like dice are going to happen. Dice will be good or bad. It depends. But, like, you could be saved by really good activation bids in both games. Because there's so much thinking behind it. And not saying Steve did this, but guys would, I just want to go first.
Oh, he did that.
No.
Tactically,
No, he did.
what was going on.
But the beauty of that, too, is if you play Blood and Valor is really set up. You play the game and you play the player.
Yeah.
So if you play someone and you know someone's hyper-aggressive, you say, yeah, I know you're coming for me, and then you bait them. And then, why not? It's like poker.
Yeah.
You play the player. You're not so – that adds a whole nother level of interest in the game. So that's how the bid system works. Can I bait you? Can I make you? And then I get you at the end of the turn.
Because you need to screw that up. You need to have bad dice and then bad decision-making.
Which is possible. But
it's possible.
Not as probable.
But, that can save a player, and I think that's why these games have been really – starting with Blood and Plunder, that activation system really is where you need to start thinking. That's where you do lose things.
When you say you could recover, we did an actual bigger demo earlier, and, man, turn 2, one of the guy loses a whole side of his it's not looking good, but he came back and won the game.
Yeah.
He was able to pull it back out through better movement. And the biggest thing was the grand maneuver. Basically, his grand maneuver pull made him win that game.
Yeah.
He repositioned his heavy machine gun and changed the game.
Yeah.
But that was the best games I play are ones that you could always got a shot. Even nobody likes to just, first turn was bad, now I'm going to get pounded on for 5 more turns that I lose. Who wants to play that? Nobody wants to play that.
No, I don't want to play it.
I want to always have a chance to recover. Those are the best games. And Blood and Plunder has that. Blood and Valor, I think, has that. I feel has that. So those are the ones that are like, it's great.
No, you guys did it, like I said, I watch when you guys demo, and I'm kind of voyeuristic, as we all know, as I peeked into your rooms this weekend.
Hey,
but
go for it.
I want to hear what people say as they walk away and what their facial expression is, and they enjoy this experience. So you guys have hit something that, you said, you can't wait. Hey, be careful what you wish for, because people are going to be, where's book 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6?
Book 2. So let's talk about book 2 for a
Let's
second.
talk about book 2.
Book 2 is an expansion. It's not new rules. This is my philosophy or my plan. This is not 100% because plans change, but this is my plan.
All right.
Some
rules I'm going to add. It's going to be the Eastern Front, which is going to be Austro-Hungary. Italy's going to be in there. Serbia, Bulgaria, Romania, Russia. I'm going to add some rules with weather rules.
Weather.
I'm going to add some mountain fighting rules. We're
Good.
going to add armored cars because a lot of guys ask about armored cars.
Mm-hmm.
And the big one is I'm going to get into the Russian Civil War.
I was about to say you missed a whole...
No, Russian Civil War because there's an overlap. And that's actually, through the research I've been doing on it, is almost more interesting than World War I, to tell you the truth. It's amazingly interesting. And everybody that you could possibly think of was running around.
It's crazy.
Doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
You guys need to watch the movie Reds.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to watch that.
Yeah, I've seen it.
No relation to the author. Yes, and that's going to be... Is there any unit that you guys have read about in researching this that you find is fascinating?
There was about 20,000+ German Freikorps, which are
the Freikorps.
basically right wing. They would be called probably brown shirts a little later.
The roots of the Nazi Party.
German soldiers and a German, basically general from World War I, running around in Lithuania in 1919. The war's over. Basically, like, hey, we're going to run this. We're just going to take. It's the new Teutonic Order, and everybody's like, "The hell are you guys doing?" Fighting everybody. Then you have the Estonians running around. The British are poking their noses in all over the place. Another one is the Green Army, which are basically peasants that want to fight everybody.
Yeah.
It's there the get off my land army.
I have to send you some nice ospreys on all these forces.
Czech Legion.
I have
Czech Legion.
Awesome.
You could do a whole game on the Czech Legion.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Oh, folks are going to really – and that's the thing, like, going into Blood and Plunder, I knew so little about the history, but it expanded my knowledge, my thirst.
It makes you dig, like, what's going on with this? Who's this guy? Who's that guy?
You guys are going to do this with a 20th century game where most gamers feel – I know it all. And I think that, like, you talk about the Green Army, like, a lot of people –
I never heard of that.
A lot of people don't know about that.
I never heard – I'm like, what the hell is that?
You know, they were
like – know about that.
They were 90% illiterate.
They were peasants. They were serfs.
Yeah.
Running around doing whatever they wanted, yeah.
Totally illiterate.
I love it. I want to play that army, like have 50 just dudes running around shooting all over the place.
And they had those crazy flags. There's
awesome.
so much interesting that happens.
But
and
then, a lot of Americans don't even know we had Americans, a polar bear division running around, British fighting the Russians. And just
the Japanese were there, right?
Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese showed up.
Well, and that somebody said about this Legion, and I heard of it, but he's like, research it. Right. So I'm going to go look at it, and I'll pass the name on to you guys. But so much. I know, we're coming up on a very long podcast for people, but people like hearing from you guys. But thank you guys for sitting down. Look, we're going to talk in hopefully at Adepticon, and we'll talk about big sales. I expect him to come in with a white suit, dressing like an NBA player.
Of course.
And then
gold grill and everything.
Okay.
Pimp hat, pimp cane.
And then you're going to be smoking better cigars.
Yep. I do like cigars. Anybody think about that? Like cigars.
So at Firelock Games, when you say I want to smoke a Cuban, does Tunez run like you're going to shoot him?
No, I ain't going to. No.
Well,
I'm not putting Tunez anywhere near my mouth. That's insane, dude.
Hey,
no,
remember, at Firelock, smoking someone has two meanings.
Yeah. No. We're not going there. We're not going there.
All right, well, before we get an E rating, I'm going to turn this back to Sean, but thank you guys.
Thank you, Mitch.
And you're going to have so much. I cannot wait till you get that in your hand. You play the game for fun.
Okay.
All right. Back to Sean in the studio, live from Fallen.
Thanks so much for joining the show tonight. Remember to follow us on Twitter at No Dice, No Glory, and keep the conversation going on NoDiceNoGlory.com, now featuring our own message boards. Have a great night, everybody.